Welcome to the show, How to Buy a Homies. It's another interview episode with a successful buyer, someone who is listening to the podcast just like you, got their questions answered, and now they're in their own home. There's a lot of tips in this interview where Elizabeth is going to talk to us about understanding the importance of layout versus square footage, making sure that you've got an open mind to adjust your expectations because you never know, you might find something else that you love. And then we'll get deep into some of the details on the 2-year job myth, the thing that people think they have to have in order to get a loan approval. She also tells us about a bank versus a unicorn lender and the gigantic difference she felt, and also some insights on the appraisal process, because too many people just talk about the horror stories, but in this case, there was some good news. Play that music.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time home buyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time home buyers.
Okay, homies, super excited to have another interview for you. This is Elizabeth, who reached out to me in June, said I need about a year, and got her home on November 15th. Okay, let's start right off, Elizabeth. You've been in your home now, what, almost 4 months? Did you get to move in right away?
We moved in the first week of December, so a couple weeks after. We weren't expecting to close so quickly, so we weren't packed at all by the time we started moving.
Okay, well, we'll ask for moving tips in a little bit here. Start with your biggest tip as far as you would give any first-time home buyer. What's the biggest thing you learned as someone who's just went through the process?
I think the biggest thing was just really that you do have to just go with your gut, and there's not necessarily like a set right or wrong for all the decisions that you make. Like at the beginning, we were really looking for some sort of like, is this the right house, or should we do this? Because on paper it works, and it really just came down to like feeling.
Wow. So you basically felt like once you had the preparation in place and you'd started the process and seen homes, that there was a part of it that was an emotional decision for you. Am I hearing that right?
Yes. Yeah. We saw a couple houses, and we saw one that checked off all the boxes, and we hated it. And then the one we ended up buying was something that wouldn't have even come up in our search if we had just been going by like what we had on paper. And we love it now. So I think it was just looking for someone to tell us, is this right or is this wrong? And we kind of just had to trust ourselves and our own feelings on if it was right. Wow.
What an interesting insight. Been doing this 6 years now and never really heard someone put it that way. It does make sense. I strongly encourage the do's and the don'ts, the wants and the needs and the pros and the cons, and write it all out. And then hold that piece of paper and be ready to have a completely different mindset when you actually walk in the doors of some places.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. Okay, let's go from the beginning of your journey, because I really enjoyed, interacting with you as we got started. So you reached out to me last summer. Mm-hmm. How much preparation had you and your partner done getting ready for this?
Prior to that, nothing.
I was the first thing you found on the internet?
Yeah, I was looking on Spotify and I found your podcast and I'd been listening, and we reached out, but we were really reaching out with like, well, let's just like talk to some people and like figure out where we're at, like thinking it was probably going to be at minimum a year or longer until we were actually ready.
Which is great. That's part of the reason why I do this, is because there aren't enough people out there like that are talking to you and letting you know, don't worry about it. We can start your plan today, and it can be a year, 18 months, 24 months. But like I said on the podcast, like 72% of the people over 6 years do exactly what you did. They say it's going to be a year, and then luckily they find out they're ready, and then they're in a place in 4 months. But what's interesting is I saw like your original information that you sent me said that the time you reached out to me, I should know your partner's name instead of just saying your partner. It's you and who? Joseph. Okay. So you and Joseph had like $3,100 saved to start your process. So you really thought it was going to be a year, yeah?
Yeah.
What happened? What was the math? What kind of down payment did you use? How the heck did you do this?
We ended up doing a full 20% down payment, and it was kind of a shift in thinking because we were thinking about this is all we have in cash in like a savings account right now. And then once we started digging into it with our lender, it was like, oh, actually we have multiple investment accounts that, have all this money in there that we weren't really thinking of as like assets that we could tap into in order to do this.
I love that thinking. Expand on that for me. Did your lender open your eyes to the fact that your home was going to be another investment asset? Or did you maybe hear me say that on the podcast? If not, that's fine. There's 300 of them. It's a lot. Was it the lender who helped you understand that it was a diversification of your retirement portfolio?
It was kind of both. I had heard you say that on the podcast, and that was kind of what made us kind of want to start looking into it, like especially when you're talking about it being equity. And then I started thinking about like our rent payment we're just essentially paying like 100% interest at this point, and we're not getting anything back. And then, so we had gotten that far with the thinking, but we're still not thinking about the investments we already had as like assets that we could tap into. And then in talking to the lender, they were kind of like, you're so ready. You have all of this right here. And we were just like, I didn't even think about that being something that we could use.
Well, it's a wonderful substitution because you guys were, I think, at like, what was your rent? Like $1,900?
Yeah, it was about $2,000 a month.
Okay. So there you are, $24,000. You have these investments that you obviously worked hard because you had 20% of a $428,000 purchase. So $80,000-$90,000. There it is working for you. The biggest thing it can do to work for you is take away $24,000 a year, of which, as you said, you get 0% of that 100% that goes to somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay. So the original plan was we're going to take our time. And then I set you up with the unicorn realtor there in Nashville, my favorite city. Oh my gosh, I'm there a couple times a year now. It's so fun. And then you had the talk with the lender. After those financial steps, how quickly did you get into, oh my gosh, we should start figuring out what neighborhood we want to buy in?
I think we actually met with the lender, it was probably 6 times for an hour because we just kept kind of going back over the numbers. Like we were seeing it, but we didn't really feel confident yet that it was actually something we could do. So they spent a ton of time with us kind of well, what if we did this instead? Or what if we moved this over here? And then from there, once we realized we were going to pull from our investment accounts, because Joseph had been in school for the past 2 years. And so that meant that his income was essentially zero, which meant that we didn't have to really pay capital gains tax. And so then it became if we're going to do this, now is the time to do this, or it's going to be this is going to be the cheapest time to do it, or it's going to be expensive later. And we bought within kind of the same neighborhood that we were already living in. So prior to starting the process, I think you have on one of your episodes, it was a list to go through of different questions, blind with your partner. So we had already done that.
Yes.
And on that we wanted to stay in the neighborhood we were already in.
Okay. Great topic. So buying with a partner. We've known each other for whatever it is now, all of 15 minutes. You're a bright person, articulate, well-spoken, and seem like you know what you're doing with yourself and your life. So was sitting down and making sure you guys were on the actual same page an important part of moving forward?
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of conversation about we wanted to make sure that neither of us felt one was pushing more for it or pressuring, and we really wanted to be sure that we were both getting what we wanted, and that we were on the same page about moving forward with it.
Which is so important. And you probably had to do that multiple times in those financial conversations.
Yeah.
So do you guys both, so he was in school, so are you guys both working now? Was the approval based on the assumed potential income from Joseph, or was it just all on yours?
So mine was not quite enough to qualify on its own. It was just shy. And then I think we originally, I don't remember.
6 meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Originally what we had said is we were looking, but we knew that we didn't really want to move forward with buying until he was locked into a job, just for like stability, comfort sake, all of that. So,
Yeah.
We got when he got his offer letter, because I think he started about a month before we closed. So when we were doing all the pre-approval, we got a letter from his future employer stating he's going to start this day. This is his salary, and we were able to get qualified off of that.
Huge tip, Elizabeth. You don't know how many people email me about the 2 years in a job question. You needed both incomes. You had yours. He was in school without an income.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, not even a first paycheck, but just a letter from the employer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you just scanned it, sent it to the lender, and then that income was added to your loan approval?
Yep. Yeah, we just emailed it to them, and that was it.
That's awesome. And I have to apologize for everyone. I asked that last question like I didn't know the answer. I knew damn well. That's so exciting. Well, and part of the thing that is just so great and such a neat thing about your story is that the fact that you were working with the lender, and it was those 6 meetings where you discovered not only the best way for you to purchase, not only the best way for you to diversify your retirement and future wealth by basically spreading out your investments between whatever they're in, stocks and bonds and whatever, into real estate, but getting that information so that suddenly it was like, oh, we can pull the trigger. And so I know I set you up with Eddie over there. Did you guys have your own lender, or did you go through the recommendations from your unicorn realtor?
We went through Eddie's recommendations.
And that lender, it's been almost 2 years now. I had someone on here that said, I figured out that the lender, I knew where their bread gets buttered. Like the realtors bring them buyers.
Yeah.
So the fact that you found someone who was competent with such character to be able to take 6 meetings with you to make sure you were in the right. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, it was really great. And we did have, like, later on when we were working with the company that holds our investments, they were like, well, that interest rate is a little higher. What about this bank? They do these. And it was kind of like we got an email with a PDF dropped into it and like essentially just said like, here, and so we ended up just, we were like, yeah, on paper, the interest rate is, maybe a little lower, but then they had all these extra fees in there. And the unicorn lender actually walked us through all the items on the other banks, quote for us too. And we ended up going with them because it was like, we felt like they understood where we were at. And like, we're looking at this other banks, giving us this, oh, we can give you this rate, whatever. They had none of our financial information whatsoever. And it felt a lot better to just be working with someone who knew where we were at, and we knew we could ask them questions, and that they were gonna go through every single line and make sure that we understood before we signed.
Wow, I got to cut this piece out and have it be like, I'm going to save it and just send it to people when they ask me the question. Because I get people all the time that go, well, this rate's better because I have all this knowledge and now you have all this knowledge. What are the fees? That's great. They haven't looked at your everything. That's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Mm-hmm. They're doing it on the verbal. And what you learned about is the difference between your interest rate and then the APR, which is that, sometimes you look at that and the difference is like half a point or a point. Mm-hmm. That APR rate, which is what you pay over the life of the loan, that includes all the fees mm-hmm. and the extras. Yeah. And wow, what a great lesson. Thank you for that. Okay, let's get to the house stuff. Because you slam dunk. That's wonderful. I hope everybody learned all about that. When you guys were on the same page, were you waiting for a specific home in the neighborhood? Or, obviously not. You went to the one with check the boxes and then you went to the other one. So what was it about this home that drew you into it?
Well, it was it's kind of a broader neighborhood where we ended up buying. So there's kind of a few little subsections that we were looking in, and we knew we wanted to be in this general area. of the city. And originally we didn't even know that this little neighborhood was back here, but it was really the difference of like, we walked into this other house that on paper, it was the square footage we wanted. It had the amount of bedrooms we wanted. It had the bonus room that we wanted. The pictures looked nice. And we went in and it was like, it smelled bad and there were cracks in the foundation. And like, we didn't even finish the tour because it was just not
really
what we wanted. Yeah.
4 a couple rooms in and just turned around and left?
Pretty much. And then I had found the listing that we ended up purchasing, and it's a nice little neighborhood. It's quiet. It feels like a safe place. And the house was smaller than we wanted. It doesn't have the bonus room. But it just, when we were in here, it just felt like home. So we didn't have our eyes on anything specific. We just really just went with like a gut feeling of this feels like the right place for us.
Do you feel like the layout of this one felt like it could work even though it was smaller than the other one?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny actually, because one of my favorite things about this house is that it has great natural light. And part of that is that it's small. And so whatever room of the house you're in, it's pretty open concept. So whatever room of the house you're in, you're getting light from the front and the back, which is like, if we had a bigger house, I wouldn't have that, you know?
Yeah. People don't think about that with the bigger houses. Especially if they haven't been built recently or if they're not luxury, you've got 4 walls and there's one little teeny window.
Yeah.
And then you have a doorway that's small. Mm-hmm. I talk to people a lot over the years about the first thing you said, which is, I wish it was like smell-o-vision and you could smell. But the other thing is that layout matters a lot. Now, I'm not saying you can't look at the big square footage homes and maybe figure out about knocking down a wall, if that's something you're into, if that's in your budget. But, where you're sitting right now is gorgeous. My gosh.
Yeah.
That light coming in on you, you got like a little angel halo effect going on the side.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us what else about the house process, because obviously there was a big emotional connection to this one. How long was it on the market? Were there multiple buyers? What happened?
I think we saw it the day after it got put on the market. Because one of the things I had noticed is that a lot of the properties around here seem to be going really quick. And if they had been out there a while, there was something weird, like they had a weird like drainage easement in the backyard or some reason that it was kind of still sitting there. But we saw it the day after it went on the market. And I think it was within the next like week or two that we ended up putting in the offer, and they did have other offers, I think, at that time.
So did you, because everyone always asks me, should I bid over this price? And not only can I not tell you because it's different in every part of the country, but there could be one wacko in that neighborhood who listed it $30,000 more than it actually should have been listed at. So did you guys have to go over the list price?
No. So we relied on our realtor a lot for that, just kind of asking him, like, what do you think this house is going to appraise for? And so we went in with our first offer under listing, and they came back and countered, and it was still below the list price, just a little higher. And we ended up settling on that, and it did end up appraising for more than what we paid for it. So,
wow. Okay, questions on that. So they sent you a counter offer with a number. Okay. Sometimes in a bidding war, they'll counter everybody like poker and just say, bring us your highest and best offer.
Yeah, I think we were if I remember correctly, I think we were the first offer in, and they were saying they had some people that were working on putting offers in, but we were trying to wrap it up before.
Well, that's the great thing, because you had Unicorn Eddie there working the program with you, giving you the advice on what price to go for the appraisal. And then you got the appraisal surprise. How much over did you guys appraise?
I think we appraised about 3,000 over what we paid. But it was about awesome. 10,000 over what we were expecting it to appraise for, because we were a little bit concerned that it was going to appraise for less, which is why we come in with the lower offer in the first place.
Well, great. So then for the listeners out there who haven't been through the process, then what you started at the price that you thought the home would appraise for.
Mm-hmm.
And then they countered back. But because you understand that you have the protection of a contingency within the offer, you can go ahead and say, all right, we'll match your number. But if it doesn't appraise, we're not absolutely obligated to purchase the home. We'll create a new negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hit the lottery and you got $3,000 over.
Yeah.
Instant equity.
Yeah, it was the best case scenario.
Yeah.
We liked the house enough that we were going to, if it was a small enough difference, we were just going to proceed anyways, and just front it ourselves. But that was, the best case scenario.
And now instead did you take the $3,000 and go, that's bonus now, and then go out and buy furniture? Or did you stay safe with that?
No, we stayed safe with that. We did have some things that needed to be fixed up as we were moving in. So it mostly went towards that.
How did your inspection work out? Were there things that were immediate that you needed to repair? Or was the inspection just kind of like a checklist for you to realize, okay, this home isn't going to cost us $10,000 immediately, and you didn't have anything that you fixed, you just moved in and fixed it yourself?
It was mostly just a checklist of things, like things that were not, there wasn't anything major structural, there wasn't anything really electrical, plumbing wise, that sort of thing. The only thing that we had from the inspection was that the dishwasher didn't work, so we knew that we were going to have to replace that. I think because there was a lag time maybe in between, we ended up with some mice and the washing machine not working by the time we actually got in there. But all in all, it was not like nothing major that we had to handle.
Oh, interesting. So how did that stuff get resolved when you moved in? Did you just get new appliances?
Yeah, we replaced the dishwasher, and then we replaced the washing machine as well.
Yeah, and I'm just curious because we live on the side of a hill, and we just had a mouse in our house the other day, and we've had to find this humane way. What did you guys do about the mice? Did you call somebody, or did you do it yourself?
We did it. My dad helped us out, but we found all the little holes where they had been trying to come in and plugged them up. And by the time that we were actually moved in, they had already vacated. So I think that they just came in while it was vacant.
I don't think people understand how many crumbs appear when people move out of house.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. This story is not only fascinating to me, but just so uplifting because you randomly found me and we randomly, it's when good people get the right service, then even in these tumultuous times for first-time home buyers, here we are. And you've given some great, did I miss anything? Is there anything that you went, I want to make sure that I tell all David's listeners this?
No, I think you covered it all.
Incredible. And the story about understanding the difference between a lender giving you what essentially is a bait and switch, and God bless them, that's their job, is to go out and try to sell people.
Yeah.
The service end of things will not only make you feel more confident so that someone who thought they were 12 to 18 months out was ready to move, moved money out of an investment. I mean, that took real trust with the team that you had.
Yeah.
Now, did you do like meetings over Zoom, or were you going into the office for these meetings?
With the lender, they were out of state. So we did those all virtually. Awesome.
That's fantastic. Who was the lending people?
Guild Mortgage.
That's right. That's my one and only national lender who I've been talking to for a year. Who'd you work with? Jennifer, Nancy? Jennifer. Oh, they're the best.
Yeah.
They have been champions of the homies since like 2012. And I didn't even have a podcast yet. That's it. That's such a great story. And okay, what's your favorite thing about your new house?
I love the natural light. I said that already.
Yeah.
But I think really just the independence of having our own space to come home to every night. And like we put a home, first thing that we did was put a home gym in the garage. So we're in there a lot. And it's just, it's nice to just come home. And like we had a one of our neighbors called in a noise complaint on us as we were like actively carrying furniture out of our apartment. So it was just kind of one of those. It's nice to have this is our own place. We don't have to worry about other people or, if there's problems, we're in control and we can deal with it ourselves.
It's so fun doing this now, this little labor of love. And the word I keep hearing from people is control.
Yeah.
And it always is a different story. That's a new one. Noise complaint while I'm were you guys screaming, pivot? What were you doing?
You're not.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy your natural light. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Well, there's some great stuff in that interview. Once again, I'd like to thank Elizabeth for coming on the show and sharing it with all of you homies. If you're new to the podcast and you're looking for more information, the great place to start is at 301, where you get the 10 basic steps for 2025. And then if you're looking for more specific detailed information, scroll through the titles, look for the information that you have questions about. Everything you need to know about buying your home is right here. And if you have more specific questions or you just want something answered immediately, go to howtobuyahome.com. There's 3 different ways you can do things there. You can get the free course, which is a 7-day video series. You can ask David a question. Hey, that's me. I'm David. Yep. And I'll answer it. Or you can ask me for your own unicorn. And just like Elizabeth, you'll end up with a unicorn story and a happy ending. If you're a longtime listener and you're getting great information here, please leave us a review so we can share this with other people out there in the interwebs. We'd love to get this revolution going and get first-time homebuyers the actual service that they deserve. Thanks so much, homies. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers. So visit howtobuyahome.com to get started.